Okay, all right, we're. So I just turned my volume down on my computer to make it not do that. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right, we're gonna get started here in just a second for those online.
And it's Jeannie, right?
Jenny.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
That's an IE, so. It's where you are.
Yeah, it's hard to, yeah. IT. Okay. Steve, will you watch your text to see when Jane gets back on that? And I don't see her yet online, but, oh wait, here she is, there we go. Promote to panelists, all these AI note takers, sorry, people.
Amy, the article was also texting saying. Can't seem to hear me or screen.
It's Wendy.
No. Yeah, the sun behind me, it's a little tree from. Okay, all right.
We're used to nighttime meetings.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Business and Community Promotions Board meeting to order at 2:01. I'm gonna do a roll call for our board. Steve. Lana.
Here.
Me. Kara. Lindsay Valdez. Okay. And Katie York. And Andy.
Here.
All right.
Hey, are you okay if I just promote everyone to a panelist?
Yes, please, that would be great. Thank you. Save me all the steps. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so I just need a vote to approve the agenda. Awesome. And then did everybody have a chance on the board to review the minutes from the November 18th meeting that was sent out? So I'll just need a vote to approve the minutes from the November 18th meeting. I do need a second for that one. So I need a motion and a vote. Motion from Steve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
You need a
Lana.
second on the agenda also?
Yeah,
I'll second both the agenda and the minutes.
thank you, thank you. Cool. All right, so I do have one scheduled public comment and I want to make sure that Uchi is on here. And just,
She's on, I forgot to do a panelist just now.
awesome. Okay, so we're waiting for Uchi to jump over. Uchi from Scraps to Soils, are you available to unmute your self and I will share my screen so that I can show your,
Say, hey, just.
go.
Hi, guys.
Oh, we need to vote on them.
Yep.
So, okay, so
Motion second.
motion second, all in favor for approving the minutes from the November 18th meeting.
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. And the agenda, all in favor. Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. Okay. All right, so Uchi, go ahead. I'm gonna share Uchi my screen so that everybody up here can see. So Uchi from Scraps to Soils has approached us, and Uchi, do your best, keep this as quick as possible. Just to get you official kind of what we talked about briefly.
Awesome. Thank you everybody for having me. As most of you know me, I am Uchi, officially Ursula Cruzalegui. Um, I am the president of Scraps to Soil. Our mission is, we are a nonprofit and our mission is to inspire sustainable lifestyles in our community. Um, I personally am a believer that sustainability starts first in a strong community. And I'm coming here bringing you a concept of a program that I'm hoping we can you guys can be interested in. A little of my background of about myself and where this is coming from is like I have a bachelor's degree in architecture, and for many years I've been volunteering in different with different hats in the community. Being involved with, well, I am still involved with Mountain Youth Network, and now work for the school district. I volunteer for the Planning Commission and several other organizations. I'm bringing you this proposal because I feel like you guys might be a good housing place for this kind of ideas that have been flying around, not just ideas, but also needs that we have seen in the community talking to different members. So, for example, many years ago, when I was volunteering with the Mountain Youth Network and we were doing the mapping at the mapping of Idaho Springs, they were trying to identify spaces that felt safe in spaces that didn't feel safe in the community. And that started a conversation about what could be done, what potentially could be done with students to, and the community in general, to address these situations. Also, for example, with Scraps to Soil, we started pretty much building, how the community garden started is that we identified space that was a field of weeds and a used space in the middle of town. And we, with the, we, and by we, I mean the whole community, built the community garden that now is a space where the community can get together and can be used for us and enjoyed by us. Also with the Planning Commission, being involved with the city in general and having conversations with the city, we have identified that beautification, it will be, it's like something that a lot of people is very interested in trying to tackle, but hasn't been really a clear way for us to make that happen. So with the creation of this group, I approached Sadie, telling her that I thought I thought this might be a good opportunity, a good housing space for this kind of program. As you can see, I'm very into collaboration and to like trying to join forces to make things happen. So I am kind of bringing this idea to you guys. I have presented this kind of draft proposal that I'm not gonna go into much detail to try to be effective with time. But the main idea is that we could take advantage of all of us working together and coming out with ways to make good things happen in our community. We can include education, we can make beautification needs happen. I have also, if you go through that, you will see that I've also included a few things that are already been happening in the community, like the spring planting that happens and the community cleanups that happen in the community. To just go straight to the point, obviously this is a draft, and the ask, I guess, that I'm bringing here to you guys is to consider being the ones that run this program in collaboration with Scraps to Soil and the city and many other organizations. So I would like to go pretty much straight to the projects that we have identified as And they're all the way in the, excuse me, at the bottom of the proposal. Projects with high visual impact and low capital investment that I think they're really good opportunities. One of the places that I was mentioning that was identified as not a safe feeling space is the I-70 underpass. I walk my dog every evening and sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Oh, I looked super good in that image. Great. So, this is one of the spaces that was identified by the students and feel safe. Oh man. Can you hear me still? 'Cause Zoom is being old. Okay, then I'm gonna see if I can kill my, anyway, I'm gonna keep talking. So you can see the images. Those are the pictures that I took of the space. I walk my dog pretty much at least a couple of times a week there. And me personally being a woman, sometimes I avoid to go to that area at night when it's dark because it just feels not safe, like the students identified. So here is a easy collaboration project that we can take on. The first thing that I thought when I walked by and it's like, oh, look, all these beams, you know, and these columns. Like, what if we were to like paint a rainbow? You know, I thought that this could be like a very simple, low-hanging option, you know, that we could tackle without too much investment or even work. Now that I work at the school district, I was like, okay, how can, you know, I'm trying to see what other ways we can collaborate and create opportunities for skill development and education. And, you know, we could have the students paint them. We can have the little kids, like, for example, grab those rocks and just paint rocks and like scatter them around there. This could start there, or, you know, it can go all the way to like, maybe we can do mural contests with the high school and the bigger kids, you know, and maybe instead of just it's, you know, the colors, it can be more than just that. Those are just kind of the ideas of where it could start and where it could go, depending on what we want to go. Also, you can see there's a space where I have written down crevice garden opportunity. Crevice gardens are like a very local version of a xeriscaping for our alpine environment. And if you guys go by the community garden and the spot where it's next to our neighbors, the dispensary, we have a crevice garden that has been built by volunteers, and we also took opportunity to make a workshop to show locals about how to do that. We feel like a crevice garden could be a project that can beautify the areas utilizing native plants. We can resource rocks from the quarry. That's what we did over there. And we can help get locals and students skills for landscaping options, things that they could do themselves if they wanted in the summer, you know? So that's pretty quick an idea, a concept idea of this. The next opportunity that we have identified is this area on the west side of the Gold Rush Center. I have been talking to the owner of this property, and he's interested in doing something in that area. He wants to do some more landscaping. He's interested in investing in that. I had a conversation in the past with the city about that option. They were in the middle of like figuring out the situation with the road and right-of-ways and all that. And we have also identified that we can have a mural over there, and that we can improve those like just scattered rocks into like a bigger display of crevice.
We lost her altogether. Did she disappear altogether?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, while she disappeared altogether, we'll wait for her to jump back on, but I wanted to let you guys know that this is a project that's been kind of brought to our attention for us to consider. As we're looking at our strategic forward-facing marketing plan, I think it's important that we look at ways that we can have philanthropic projects that connect in to tell a story. And so this is already an existing partnership with Scraps to Soils, as well as being able to link in the school district, as well as other nonprofits within the community. That might be a really great bridge for a 2025 project that's a philanthropic project, low hanging fruit, low cost. So something for us to consider looking at and working towards bringing in. So Andy, next steps on getting that kind of like considered for formal, I can include, I only got this presentation today, so I couldn't include it in the packet, but I can
Sure.
include it in the meeting notes going out. And then for us to consider it would be next meeting, it would be a vote.
Sounds good.
Yeah, does that sound like an appropriate thing to
It
do?
does.
Okay, cool. So I'll let Uchi know that next meeting we'll go ahead and bring it for a vote if that's something we want to consider, and that will give you guys time to review the presentation as well.
And just, I would just word it a consideration,
Mhm.
because you may or may not want to vote on it at that time, not meaning in a
Right.
bad way. You may just want to have further discussion before you finally bring it forward for approval.
Absolutely. Okay, makes sense to me. Okay. All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and move on, and I'm going to share my director notes so that everybody can see. Oh, I don't think we have any conflicts of interest today on anything we're voting on, do we? All righty. So, next thing is my director's report. So I apologize for not getting this in the packet in advance. There's a lot of information in here, pretty detailed. But I want to go ahead and start with a brief update on the last community conversation meeting we had at the end of November. It was great. We talked a lot about the downtown master plan, the mobility hub project. There were a lot of great concerns brought up. So we're definitely keeping track of those areas of concern so that we can continue to give updates to our business owner community on their specific concerns. Andy does have a brief update on that we have officially signed.
Yes, we have a fully executed raise planning grant agreement, which means we can now move to the next step, which is to bring on a consultant,
Which we'll use
To the
HDR.
HDR, to do the design and engineering. And that's going to be council at a special meeting on the 30th. And then we'll have a kickoff meeting in January, early January. We hope early in January.
Wonderful.
So
And
this is a key step because
Key
now
step.
we can actually, hire the consultant officially, start spending the federal funds and
Yeah.
get the get the design engineer done.
And that's where I think the key thing for us as we're talking to the business owner community is that they know that that's where a lot of their concerns are going to be addressed, is in that design stage of the process. Talking about staged implementation, talking about drainage, talking about what we're gonna do about ice, what are we gonna do about water. All of those different concerns that were brought up at this community conversation meeting will definitely be addressed during that process. So as we make sure we have additional community conversations, we'll have more to bring to them and more feedback from them as well. Out of both of the community conversations, it was heard that they would like a survey of some kind. So I gave you guys some suggestions on some survey questions. Steve and I met. I did add a few additional survey questions from Steve. I'll scroll down so you can see. Here are the current proposed survey questions. I can make it bigger.
Sadie, is there a way you can make it show up on that screen too?
So,
You sharing it?
I am sharing it from mine.
Hey Sadie, could I add something to the survey question there?
Yeah, absolutely, Mary Jane.
On the east end, I mean, there's been talk of, in the past, closing Riverside Drive from bridge to bridge for
Yeah,
emergency access only. You've got one-way traffic, but
it also says enhanced emergency access. That'll be a two-folded question, Mary Jane.
okay,
Pro one-way traffic from Riverside all the way,
right.
Or would you prefer enhanced emergency access bridge to bridge for the Argo side section of the project? So it kind of be twofold. That's what we heard at that
Yeah,
East End.
yeah, okay, I just want to make sure that both one-way and potential through street, are on the table.
Okay,
Yeah, just to tag on to that, I'd be even more specific that, one option is to just close it to vehicular traffic except for.
Right,
emergencies.
right, that's what I mean, Andy.
Be very clear
Okay.
that it becomes pedestrian bike only, and that, it still provides a secondary access to that community, but only in emergency.
okay.
Which way, one way? I think it should be one way west.
You think one way this way?
Yeah, because if traffic's coming through town, they go out that way.
Okay.
Whereas like it's less likely that, I live in that neighborhood.
Yeah,
And so I think that if it's one way west, and then that way it would encourage people if they're leaving the Argo or they're leaving, the whole thing, they're gonna go right and then out instead of left and like through our neighborhood.
Can I add something to it? I like that idea of west. Could there be something that we can do at the stop sign across the bridge? I think it's 23rd. And if you want to turn left onto Colorado, when there's any kind of tourist traffic, something to maybe, some enhanced, if you're crossing on pedestrian, like blinkies would be great right there, the blinking lights, and maybe even something to help get your car out, because if it's Saturday afternoon in high summer and you happen to need to turn left right there, and with the Argo traffic and everything from Riverside coming left, that could be a
challenge. Okay,
challenge.
okay. I'll include
Yeah.
that kind of in there as a,
As
as a
living
side.
fairly close to there.
Perfect.
Yeah, but I feel like west would be the safe, but like it
I like
would be
west.
the most effective to
Movement.
reduce traffic.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so I'll include that kind of in the
Maybe
question.
And just some enhanced help to get out of there.
Another thing that Steve said in prior to the question for A on the East End, which is what are your thoughts on implementing parking validation for the East End businesses? The first question would be, would you be open to paid parking?
Right.
On the East End? So it'd be part one of the question would be, would you be open to paid parking on the East End? Second answer to that, or second question would be, with paid parking, would you be interested in a parking validation program for the East End businesses? And again, classifying East End businesses for that paid parking validation program, there.
I had a question about that. Is there a parking validation program downtown?
No, the only parking validation program we currently have that we've tested is at the visitor center
Okay.
parking lot.
And so why would we do two different approaches in two different parts of the city?
And we could do validated parking in the whole town. We'd want to do it too, on our side.
I think the question then would be bringing that to council to talk about the costs and the cost share process there. Would the validation be at the cost of the business who's validating? Or would it be a cost share where the city would eat some of that validation cost? Or would we be asking the city to validate that parking and not take that cost? So that would be a specific
Well,
conversation for council.
In the meeting on the east side, when you asked the question, what businesses would participate in, almost every business
Yeah.
raised their hand.
Yeah, so on the East End, that was a very heavy, so we could include that as a part of the downtown structure question. If we opened up a parking validation program, would your business be interested in participating and knowing that you would be taking on that cost? So we would be giving a $5. How are we doing that at the visitor center? The city is eating that.
No, there's no cost to it. They just implemented it there, the interstate at the request. We were trying to figure out a way to protect the parking for the visitor center. So-
Right, so if they're in the visitor center, they.
Right, well, right, people who are patronizing the visitor center can get validated, they don't have to pay for parking. So yes, I guess there's a cost to it, and it may be lost revenue.
Yeah.
Right, so in that case.
But it already wasn't revenue. There was
It
no
already-
revenue before, so
That's-
it's
that's
kind of
true.
potentially creating revenue.
Right, so wouldn't the
That's
cost be
right.
our sales tax? Like our sale, like the incentive would be our sales would go up because people are staying longer and coming to our businesses. So our contribution, I would think would be our sales tax.
Well, I have to say selfishly, I pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in parking for my business. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And that was not the original agreement that we had, but the parking authority didn't seem to be able to do that. So there are times where I have to pay $30 a day for someone who's staying at our hotel. And it can become a real problem.
Mhm.
And so that's something that I know as my business, we need to have a conversation with people about to figure out, and we're trying to find other alternatives. But this can blow up real fast, real big.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, and that's one of the questions, do you have any suggestions about the paid parking program? In the downtown district, that's going to be a pretty wide open sphere of answers and concerns.
And we tried it at Common Knockers, and we did, $5, if you got, show us your parking, and then you, at Common Knockers, we take $5 off your tab.
Yeah.
For 2 hours parking,
Yeah,
and it was marginally successful.
It's like that, we were just paying again to capture a customer.
yeah.
I guess more of a cost of my business. I don't know.
Okay. We have one more question. Like, and this is my argument for possibly leaving the east end of town unpaid is I could see a lot of merit because I see so many people, I can't find a parking spot, they leave, oh, I have to pay parking. I see the bribe as like, if you are willing to park farther out and walk in and come in, why not get rewarded by either a much smaller parking fee or no parking fee? And I've noticed when people walk, they notice a lot more stuff, so there might be something right there too.
Yeah, to really think about that. Okay. So definitely some more questions, kind of getting some creative more questions around parking for this survey, I think is like a really good way. And then maybe getting some clarity on our end on what we could do before we send out the survey on validation. Because I don't think we're clear internally what we can offer, like through Interstate.
yeah.
Since it's a
Well,
pre-K
I think
program.
Interstate has the capability now.
Now, okay,
Right,
good.
so if business wants to do it.
Is
it
actually
can be
on.
done.
Yes. I'm
So
here.
one other thing I might add on this is, I think that, the other component on the east end with question A is really, we need to think about it more holistically with managed parking.
Yeah,
Because we have posted the Riverside Drive corridor as residential parking only. And that's, so it's not just about paid parking. Right now, we don't have a lot of regulation for parking on the east end. Granted, with, development occurring on the east end, we're gonna need to be thinking about that, is it just 2-hour parking signage and not paid parking? Is it some sort of paid parking? Is it just certain areas, certain lots? So I would just ask that we incorporate that as well, is because there are a lot of things we can do with handling parking, with managing parking.
Yeah.
Not just.
not
make it
just paid.
Right.
Right, because again, when we talked at the meeting, enforcement, we can't really enforce anything down there right now. It's just like suggestions because we don't have a managed parking program on these.
Yeah, I mean, we do have, again, parts of it with the residential permit parking and the test case, if you will, at the visitor center, so.
Right.
Has anyone ever thought of approaching the businesses like Marion's when they close at 2:00 to put up a sign, bikers can park here after 2? I mean, there's a lot of businesses down there, including Post Office, Safeway, have hours that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely worth approaching them and seeing about their level of participation for sure. Any other questions for the survey that immediately stand out? One that Steve brought up, is bringing up a question about, staged and staggered construction for the downtown master plan. Hearing people's feelings on that and how important that is for them. I think would be something to include in the downtown section. Any other ones that you guys are immediately calling out to off of your conversations or feedback you've had? Okay, so my goal is to get this drafted and sent out to the board for you guys to approve, and then we'll work on city staff wise getting it out. I think our goal would be to get this out first part of next year so that we can start getting these responses in to kind of gear our conversations moving forward on people's feedback. It will give council a lot of good information.
I do have one that might be, I talked to a business today and like one of their concerns or interests was, like advertising to I-70 and their suggestion was to put a banner up on one of the light poles in that parking lot. I don't know if maybe a question about like, would you be interested in, some like asking if other businesses would like something like that? I know that there's restrictions with CDOT, but even with the transportation hub, like some way to capture more I-70 traffic. Just to pique people's ideas and see if people do have an interest or not, if it's
Okay.
a possibility.
Okay.
And if I may, I just, wanna put a spotlight on the paid parking, for a moment. I'm not on the board, Andy is. And, I am here to listen carefully and take notes and see if there's something that we can do on council to help. But I just think it's important, to understand, we, implemented paid parking in downtown because we need to fix the parking problem. And I bring this up, and I know you probably have heard me say this before, but the city's parking revenue that we get from paid parking is sequestered. It, is like the water department. We don't spend it for, street improvements or a water line that we need. It has to go to building a parking structure behind Tommy Knockers to fix this parking issue and downtown specific improvements. So we have to be able to bond. Let's say there's $6, $7, $8 million. We've talked with our bond guy extensively. We know we can do that. So the revenue that we brought in is restricted to fixing this issue in downtown. And on the east end, most of us are aware, those 90 parking spaces on Colorado Boulevard largely went seldom used. So now we have a big impact from the bike park. I don't think I'm going out on a limb when I say the overwhelming majority of people who park in those spaces are there to enjoy the bike park. So I had suggested the possibility, and it'll be up to businesses to decide what they want to do, is to have paid parking for a couple of reasons. One would be, if you want free parking, you can have free parking. Just come in and get validation with one of our businesses, spend some money with one of our businesses, and you just got yourself free parking. We've always had free parking by the hot springs. There's a bunch of them from the front door of the hot springs all the way north, almost I-70. Those have always been free if somebody wants to take a little walk. But, if their big beef is, oh, well, I just wanted to come and enjoy the bike park and leave, we're trying to get people to go ahead and open up their purses and wallets and, come into one of our businesses and spend some money. That would be the ideal thing to do. I understand not everybody's going to do that, but we're certainly trying to promote it. And the other thing too, that we're definitely considering, these are dirt trails. So they need constant grooming. And eventually we're going to probably need some more money for the grooming of the trails, which is a constant battle, and also expansion and improvement in the park for trail construction. We can't always rely on grant money or volunteers to come and do all of the work. So I'm just making a number up that maybe we find that 40 or 50 cents that is specifically sequestered for the bike park can maintain it. Maybe we find it's a little more, maybe we find it's a little less, but that definitely is a component. And one thing I was glad to hear today, a question about the visitor center, because that actually was never part of our downtown and it was never incorporated into the paid parking. So that's an experiment right now. So far seems to be going all right. But I think a question for you moving forward is, where do we draw the line with what's downtown? Because I can tell you the city had never even considered it. That's why it was never part of the paid parking program. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. I try to keep it short because I know we have a lot of things to cover.
I just wanted to add on to you, Chuck, remember that the Argo is providing 50 cents a ticket.
And Mary Jane, we absolutely appreciate that, but that will effectively be after there's been 800,000 tickets sold, because it was in advance.
Right.
Of $400,000. So at 50 cents on the first 800,000 seats sold is what we were advanced to get that $400,000. but the first 2 years, the projections for the gondola are actually lower. So we may not actually receive any of the 50 cent towards the bike park until operation year 3. So, that's what I'm saying, and we're just not sure, because this is new, how much we're going to need for future, trail expansion and maintenance. Is the volunteerism going to be that high? I mean, we would hope so, but one thing we've seen, like with the volunteer fire department, it's fallen off a cliff. So, we may not be able to count on it, but I'm only suggesting that some of it and the amount to be determined go from the parking on the east end, since most of those people are there for the bike park. If it's 20 cents or 50 cents, but whatever the balance is to maintain the park is all I'm saying. We're not taking the money and spending it on wages or streetlights or anything like that.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Keeping us moving, so thank everybody for helping at the Holiday Ramble weekend while I was out of town. I meant to be more available, but family situations ended up so I wasn't. So I appreciate Mary Jane and Steve for stepping up last minute and really helping, and Tara doing an excellent job. Overall, I think we had a really successful weekend. I just received our Placer AI report. Oh, it won't show it. I just received our Placer AI report for Thanksgiving weekend. And last, let me zoom in so you can see better. So last year on Thanksgiving weekend, total visitors to the city of Idaho Springs was 21,000. This year we're at 30, a little over 30, which is awesome. And then the downtown district last year, we had 12.2 thousand, and we bumped that all the way up to 16. So that's a big, huge 142% increase year over year for us right there. Really cool to see when you dig deep into this report, which I'm not going to do right now for you, but having the market, you could see people moving from Argo downtown to Argo. So that movement of people that we were talking about wanting to happen was happening, which I think is really awesome. I'm going to let Tara talk a little bit about some of her feedback points. In the report, I kind of went over some of the things I have spoken to the vendors and other businesses.
Yeah, so Santa being hosted at club, I think went really well. Lana was they were perfect hosts over there. It was super Christmassy, it was cozy, the energy in there was awesome. Steve and I were on the street corner in the cold. So I think, and we were trying to direct people to go over to the club. And I think once they got there and if they realized that he was there, it was awesome. But I do think that there was an oversight of not having him walk around and spend some time in the park too. I think that there was like a little bit of confusion around that. So I think definitely keeping the tradition of him walking through the town and being visible just kind of like to the public, and then also having a space where you can go take photos and be cozy and have that Christmas energy. People who did go to the club were like, oh my gosh, I haven't even been in there. Like people were talking to me about that, which was great. And then the Rambo cards, I think that initially there was some confusion about whether or not you had to make a purchase or if people were just walking around stamping. I think printing more, we definitely ran out by Saturday morning. They were pretty much gone. So that was good because people were utilizing them. But I think just like a little more explanation on that would have made a difference. And I don't know how many got turned in.
So I have 15.
50?
15. I have 15
yeah, I thought it was
turned in.
low.
Yeah, so I have 15 that was turned in. If you have a location that hasn't turned theirs into me yet, let me know and I'll come grab them from you. But I believe I've gone everywhere and gotten the ones that have been turned in. So we have 15 to choose from for our grand prize. Also on that note, if you committed to donating something for that grand prize Idaho Springs pack, just email me over gift certificates, those things, so I can put that prize together, and Tara and I are gonna draw a winner. And then do some social content around the winner, and drawing that. But yeah, agree there, that was a success, but needs a little bit of more thought. Steve mentioned it might be a little too expensive, like if you did all
To do the whole
6.
thing, so
Yeah, some
maybe
people
like,
calculated it was like $250 to take it, to get 6 clicks on there, you had to spend some money to get them.
okay, yeah, so maybe something more like 4 clicks or,
Or just some kind of
Yeah,
consistent
some
offer,
kinda-
where every
yeah.
offer is like, this is their offering for the Ramble, it's like a $10-$20 item.
I know there was some oversight too, with, communication on like people submitting to it too, so just like, is they opening that up more and being more clear about that, like maybe going to business. I know Sadie did send out some emails, but it was a newer thing, so just making sure everybody, had the opportunity and like knowledge to contribute to it, I think would have been, an improvement for next year. The Argo market, I think went really, really well, especially just with such little planning time. It was a lot of locals, which was great. I've been to markets before where I was selling flowers and like they had, I feel like hundreds of vendors and like no attendees. So I think we were like, it wasn't overwhelming in attendance, but I think it was a lot better than other markets I've been to.
People loved it.
Yeah, people were having a great time. The energy was really great. I'd say the main oversight was heaters, communication on some of the beverage stuff, but everything that happened, that needed a fix was an easy fix. So that was like, not a huge deal. And then I think it was really great. Everyone came out to help. Jenny was super helpful. What else was that? Oh, all the vendors said they had good sales.
Yeah, we had really great vendor
So,
feedback.
yeah.
These are up on the screen are some of the pictures that Ross took. So we had the bike parade, which I think with a little effort and continued collaboration there with the rec, this could be a really, really fun event.
I think rethinking the timing on that.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe doing it later, so the lights, the decorated part. But we had, again, every vendor that was there had a great feedback for us. Very grateful for the opportunity. So we have some really nice images to use moving forward, as well as Mary Jane, I'll give you access to this for your stuff. So really good content that we have, just some solid stock images. There you are, Tara.
If we
Yeah,
wanna do
you
it-
and Rose.
If we want to do it next year, Argo has figured out, even though it can be a totally different look next year at this time, that we've still got a place to put the tent.
Wonderful. And now Steve and I have identified 2 options for making sure there's walls on the tent and heaters. Part of the reason there were no walls and part of the reason there were no heaters was a code situation, and we had lost the amount of time we needed to put in the right permits to get the code that we need to put walls on the tent. So now we have a plan and we know how much time we need and a couple of different options versus putting walls or doors and walls right on the tent that have been done with this particular tent. So we could fix that in the future.
One thing I did notice is everyone was like, next year, let's do this, next year, let's do that, and I was like, that is huge. I feel like that's a huge success, that people are wanting to do it again and have plans and ideas.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Steve, anything feedback specifically that I didn't mention that was yours? Okay, cool. So again, it was a great opportunity. We really got a far way on it, which is great. Other program that went well was the Garland decorating program. Again, the big thing is people coming to me after being like, why didn't I get to participate? And me being like, do you read my emails? So, I mean, I know, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, I'm maxing myself, guys, at 20 hours right now. I'm being very strict with how much time I'm spending on this job. And I'm not spending more than 25, 30 hours a week on this. So it does get to the point where I'm like, I hit that moment where I'm like, I can't hit every single face-to-face, go into every door kind of thing. And this definitely was one of those situations with the garland, but we did have good participation. We do have a vendor that is willing to remove the garland from your business. So if you have garland on your business and you would like it removed by our person, please let me know, because the more we can get everybody to participate on the same day, the cheaper he is.
You know when?
After the first part of the year, we generally do like the second week.
Second or third, it depends how brown they're turning.
Yeah, usually like the second to third week of January is when we've done it in the past. And Public Works has agreed to help us dispose of it if we want to do that. Steve has mentioned trying to figure out a way to maybe like do something more sustainable besides like throwing it in the pup transfer station. However, I'm not sure this year we're gonna be able to hit that, but maybe next year we figure out a collaboration where we can do something with it instead of just dump it in the transfer station. But that was a great program. We had good participation, and we can definitely continue this as another thing. There was a lot of feedback of wanting to increase the amount of festiveness, like, hey, let's do lights. Can we find a way? And that is something we'll be looking at this next year. This board will be looking at our holiday lights contract, correct? Yep.
Yes.
So we'll be able to look at some business partnerships, buy-ins for lights as well, as we come into 2025. Okay. Exciting stuff. Okay, moving on. This is the bulk of our conversation. So I appreciate you guys' patience. I know we might run a little over, but first couple of things I want to introduce two new faces at the table. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. First person is Gregory. This
Hello.
is Gregory, everyone. Gregory is our PR consultant that we have contracted with, and he has been an amazing asset to me so far. Some of that increased traffic, I think Gregory and I would like to take a little nod. We did get some great news media coverage right before the Thanksgiving weekend that came directly from his push. He's been making sure that all the news media stations are very well informed on correct and factual information. He's been really helping me craft the strategic marketing plan as well as all the ins and outs. He's going to be consulting with us on advertising and ad buys and marketing and all the things. Tell us a little bit.
Well, I want to thank Mary Jane too, because we hustled to get an Argo campaign off the ground. She ran a heavy TV schedule for about 2 weeks, which launched, I think, on Thanksgiving Day. And I've been doing this 41 years. I've been with Chip Barrett Bojo's, helping him since 1994. So he's not my only account. I would like to address an earlier conversation. You're correct. I also work with 4 of the biggest liquor store brands in the United States, and I work with 2 of the biggest entertainment concepts. The economy is definitely soft right now. Topgolf is off 15% right now. Did you ever think you'd see Topgolf off 15%? Pretty tough. I got Bojo's numbers in for Idaho Springs yesterday. Just let it go. Soft. Were you soft?
Yeah.
We were soft. Significantly soft. Chip doesn't seem to be too worried, but what concerns me is it seems to be systemic to a lot of stuff I'm seeing. Denver's got some challenges on the Front Range. As you all know, it's an extremely expensive place to live. Housing's ridiculous. So I work with a multitude of brands. I'm really a marketing strategy guy, and I have a really good staff of people. 3 of them have been with me almost 25, 30 years. So the goal here is to really help you guys. I am a native since the 1880s. Our family's been here. So I understand Idaho Springs. I've mountain biked, climbed, turkey hunted up here. I get it. I've rock climbed up on Fall River. I mean, I know the area, and you're a great secret. And I think too many people just don't stop. And the traffic does not help. It really doesn't. But what's going on at the Argo, what I've seen on Minor Street, all the things, just the vibe is great. I was up here helping Club Hotel. Really nice man. I mean, I don't know if many of you know Jonah.
This is why.
I
I thought so,
keep forgetting that you were there.
Yeah, we met, yeah.
And I can't tell you. You were briefly there on Saturday.
We were busy. That was the day of the.
They didn't even get to talk to you.
Yeah, so we
Matter of
were-
fact, there's Brian right now. And, I mean, that place is just amazing. I mean, so, and I think we've got a channel 2 segment for you.
31.
Is it 31? I
Yeah.
can't remember all
Yeah,
of it. I don't
Jenna's doing
coordinate
that
everything.
tomorrow.
And I think he helped you with your GMB page too, some marketing there.
Yeah, yeah.
So Brian's one of my guys. So one of the things I talked to Sadie and Mary Jane about, and then I'll be done, is maybe doing some seminars for all the business owners in town, helping them with their websites, maybe on the back end if they don't know search. Not everybody can afford to bring people in, helping them with their NAP listings. We could do it in here, we could do it at multiple places, and we would just volunteer to do that, what we've done with you guys. We're not charging for any of that. We don't want to charge. We want to be vested in Idaho Springs, so we could probably circle back on that after the first of the year.
Yep.
I think the merchants in Idaho Springs would find great value in that. And there's a lot to it. You saw what Brian is. I think you've been pleased with his SEO work.
Very much so, yeah.
Well, and this is kind of our commitment, again, when we're talking about what we can do during these impact times, you know, this is something that we can show our business community, hey, like, we can't necessarily do some things, but this is a way we can help you. So again, great value add, so.
Well, we
I
would
think
be,
Brian spent a couple hours on my site and fixed on my keywords and blah, blah, blah. I think Idaho Springs, gondola, history, it pops up everywhere now. So it's not only good for Argo and gondola, but Idaho Springs
Exactly.
everywhere.
And that's what he's doing for us too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure
and-
all of
and
our
we're not-
pages are.
what we want to project is that I work with some other groups like this. And when they see that kind of benefit, you know, they really get fired up on it. So we love doing that. Now, obviously, we can't go to every single merchant. We'll try to help as many as we can. But, you know, we love helping you guys. And you're such nice people on top of it. Okay? And those shoulder seasons are tough. And what's challenging, like your hotel, we did a quick audit the day I was sitting there, and I'm sorry, I
You're
didn't
fine.
talk to you that day.
You're fine.
I mean, you're doing a lot of things right here. It's just November in Idaho Springs, tough, so. And then Sadie was calling me, and I think Mary Jane, you mentioned me too, just how erroneous the information is on the news channels. So I think within, you get it, not me.
Well, I mean, we're doing it together, like, I don't know who these people are.
We're 24 hours, I had the most beautiful written press release, and we got it into 7, popped on it right away,
Yeah.
so. Talking about the misinformation, the biggest one I'm hearing is the rock scaling, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, they're putting on during Friday and Saturday and things like that, and people hear that with ski traffic, they just avoid it like the plague. So we'll keep working on all those things, and we'll do whatever we can to help you. Couple things, if I may. I know you're looking at some brand stuff, correct? You're gonna talk about that?
Yep,
I
that's
think
nice.
there's gonna be some decisions made on that.
Yep.
There's Gus, I think we have a really good person on the local level for the website. Is that correct?
Yep.
The thing I'm gonna ask you guys to do is what I'm going to do is I spend a lot of money on Google, as much as I don't want to. Okay, Yelp, those places. But that's encouraging to me, that Placer report. I think that's tangible metrics you can see marketing can pay off. So one thing we're talking, Sadie and I have talked about is every single dime that we can have to educate consumers on the Front Range, we need that money. Okay? It's gonna be really, really important from your ad buy standpoint, whether it's television or I met with KYGO today, or it's geofencing the rental car lots at DI. There's a lot we can do, so I really commend how you're hearing and trying to really squeeze that budget.
As much as I possibly can. Thank you
So
very
we're
much.
honored to try to help you, and we'll do the best we possibly can.
All right, another new person at the table.
Hi, I'm Guy Patterson. I'm your new assistant city administrator. And I have over 20 years of municipal experience, county experience, nonprofits, state government. Been doing this stuff a long time. And so I have seen many iterations of organizations just like this. I've worked mainly in the mountains, of Colorado. So I understand, kind of the tourism dollar. And, look forward to being here. Andy tried to kill me last week. I came back. So,
28 meetings, 28 meetings or something like that in 1 week.
but, great staff here, great community, a lot of involvement, a lot of investment, and I look forward to being part of it.
Awesome. So with that, I want to get into the nitty gritty of the strategic updates. So in my report, I put through, so Kent submitted an official bid to build out the website, which was like a humongous discount, guys. I mean, we're getting Kent offering that. And when you look at these other bids that have been submitted, you'll see the value at which this, obviously Kent is a local business owner. He's doing this because he cares and wants to make a difference and an impact. So I will state that that is extraordinary, his willingness to work with us on that. What I don't want to do is skimp on the branding and the package of who we are, what we are, who we're talking to, why are we talking to them, and what do we want them to know about us? That's really, really important. First thing that I want to call that I do want, we need a vote on. We talked about visit idahospringsco.com. It's good to go. We can purchase it, but I do need a vote for that. So we can purchase visit idahospringsco.com, which will match with all of the social handles that Cass can get us. We can purchase idahospringsco.com for very little, which you can see there. And then we can get the package, which has all the other little thingies that we can all direct towards that one. So altogether, we're looking at spending $22.23 to get that domain purchased, and that will be a yearly cost. So if everybody's happy with that domain name, we would need to vote to purchase it.
Yes,
So
motion.
Steve makes a motion to purchase visit idahospringsco.com. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Lana seconds. And then all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so motion carries.
Some backstory, the group last time voted over, Visit Idaho Springs .co over just Visit Idaho Springs because you wanted the co there for differentiator for other communities.
Correct, because that indicates Colorado. There is there's several Idaho Springs out there. That gives us that Colorado brand. It also creates consistency with other tourism and all the other visit cases, Guy.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Do you think if we make a decision like this, that it's important to get out in some sort of, for lack of a better term, press release? About just saying the steps that we're taking, if not to businesses here in town, then to a wider audience?
Well, that's a
I mean,
good question.
even just little things like this.
It'd be very difficult for the media to pick up on something like this. When businesses are severely impacted by misinformation, like the highway scaling, they like that stuff. They'll pick up. And then one of them jumped up here. Pretty difficult just because you're picking a domain name.
What about talking to local businesses?
Oh, I would certainly do your outreach to them. I mean, to me, just keeping people excited. I mean, I'm an avid mountain biker and I drove in and I must have counted 10 cars with bike racks on the back. And that's south facing. I'm like, why didn't I bring my bike, right? That's newsworthy. The cable car stuff, newsworthy.
So did you hear the latest news? Can I do news flash? We just got voted the best downhill bike trail instantaneously.
Yeah, Dylan
It's-
sent that.
It's a big deal, isn't it? Right?
This just happened.
Yeah, Dylan sent
It's
out
the
an
talk of the community right now.
announced. It's really going well.
Yeah.
Okay, I want
So
to.
that we can publish.
Huh?
Guys.
Go ahead.
That's news.
Are you guys gonna immediately put that on auto renew?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Andy and I are gonna get together.
We've got clients that lost their passport.
I'm just like, please.
Yes, absolutely. So I don't wanna miss a lot of these things, but I do wanna make sure, flipping to the back part of the director's report, you guys will see the bids that we received. I received 3 bids. for branding and website development. Wax Creek is one of Gregory's suppliers, and it was a beautiful presentation and gorgeous and lots of value here. This is the total cost right here, $39,650, and that would include brand strategy, visual identity, website design and development. The second option down here, this $18,000 number, that would be brand strategy, visual identity, website design without development. So basically getting like what it would look like, all the pages, and then giving them to Kent to upload and actually put into the actual website. But the other key thing to note here is that this does not include any photography, any video, or any assets in that number. So knowing that we would be definitely tapping into the businesses to ask them to submit content to us that we could have permission to use, we would also need to have some of our own content to put up on this website. So that second quote or price point does not include that.
Or add about $1,000 for Ross.
Or add about an additional $1,000 for Ross to do that, who's a local contractor, who did the shoot that we've done. Many of you are familiar with Ember. This is Nate, and Nate is used to be local, but still local in a lot of ways because he partners with a lot of our businesses. Right now, he has done the branding for Comba. So we have a proposal for City Comba. Andy and I have looked at it. He is discounting this pretty significantly for us. He's also offering it kind of in a piecemeal format, so we can kind of pick and choose what we would like to do. Here's the brand strategy. This would be pretty self-led, meaning I, Gregory, and Nate would be doing a lot of work, then bringing you guys information. So it would be a little bit more of a unique way of doing it than he's done it before, which is great that he's willing to work with us on that. Brand identity, this is the logo, the stylescapes, all of the things you need to know exactly how you're talking to people and what you're presenting them with. And then he's offering website development with his person at this $5,500 rate. However, the key thing to note there is that's pretty limited. It's like a very, very, very limited website. Minimum, I think 2 pages. So not really what we need. We need a much more robust, and Kent is coming in significantly lower, obviously, for a lot more work. And then we have Ross, who is also bringing in a proposal as well, to basically do a la carte. Just to design us a logo at $1,000, doing again that website design around that $5,000, but this is not a full branding package. This is just basic information. So this would be like kind of a very simplified process. On the back 2 pages of the director's report here, Steve and I worked, this is why it was delayed. Steve and I worked really hard to kind of give you guys kind of an overview, what each company would be delivering, kind of the cost, basically the strengths of each option. And then Steve was wonderful because his brain works so wonderfully, made us this beautiful matrix to look at here, which is so helpful.
I did appreciate the matrix. as
We
well.
love the matrix for the people
Very
that brain
nice.
works this
It's
way.
confusing trying to pull the information out of this verbiage.
Yeah, exactly. And sorry, Nate, I can't, if you type it in the comments, I'll put it up for you. So key things here that are really important is that, you know, I think there's a value in the lower cost option of kind of doing it a la carte with local contractors only. This would put a lot of work on my plate. A lot of work on Kent's plate and a lot of work on Ross's plate. However, a professional company such as Ember, who has a lot of experience in Idaho Springs and is willing to really work with us and give us more bang for our buck. When you look at his proposal, the discount he offered is pretty significant for us. I think it's really important that we have a strong foundation. While we do know who we are and we do know who's coming here, we want to make sure that not only are we setting up a branding structure that's going to serve us right now, we want to set up something that's going to be serving us into our future, that we can continue to lean on, and we don't have to go back and rebrand again. when you look at branding, it's expensive, but it's worth it has value because it really gives us all the information that I need, that Gregory needs, so that we know exactly how to talk to people, when to talk to people, who are we talking to, what voice are we using, all those different things. So it's very important we look at that, and I would stress that we not skimp on that necessarily. What I'm kind of recommending is we piecemeal it a little bit here, is that we work with Ember on brand strategy and visual identity. Again, some of the value there is he's partnered with Comba as well. So that again is going to give a consistent partnership there. He's worked with the city before on wayfinding. He's worked with the Argo before. He's worked with the Yards before. So he's got a lot. He works with Tommy Knockers currently. It gives us a lot of value there. Then we work with Ross and with Kent on the media assets and the website development, and that puts us at 21,000 for that. We had initially kind of budgeted when we were talking about this from when we went to council, that we were budgeting up to 30,000 for website and branding. So this would give us a little bit under that, so that we would be able to add a little bit more towards, as Gregory said, add a little bit more towards that marketing budget of actually ad buying and spending things. Yes, Gary, that's a part of that as well. Okay. Nate did want to clarify that the website was, for a full website, it was 2 pages for concept design. But it would be a full development website. He just wanted to clarify that. Mary Jane?
Yeah, I just want to make a point that Andy and Chuck might not remember this, but Andy will, and Gary Moore will, that back 4 years ago, before we stopped the project, we had a concept of branding the Argo, the city, and Macomba, not the same branding, but complementary branding. So they're working together. So the wayfinding, the bike trails, the hiking trails, they're all identifiable as Idaho Springs, Argo, blah, blah, blah. And we had a proposal from Tommy Matthews at Triba.
Yep, and then we also have a very similar proposal currently from Nate from Ember.
Right,
for
he
that.
remembers we were talking about that,
Yeah.
I think. I just think working in a silo and everybody doing different branding is not a good idea.
Yeah.
Because we're all branding the same thing.
So this will put us in that space, especially if we choose to work with Nate on that. He has, again, already has a branding package for Comba and VCamp that is currently being considered. So this would be a way for us to loop all of those in so that we're all pulling again in that same direction. Questions?
I have a question. You were kind of leading into it. So what are we doing with the rest of the money? So
Yeah.
if we're saving the money, where is that going? What's the intention with that?
That would go into increasing that marketing budget. So right now we have our marketing budget set at 50,000 for digital media, print, all of that. 1,000 of that per month is designated to paying Gregory. So that savings would increase that 50,000. So it would stay in that category of giving us more money to spend on ads.
So you're gonna actually, if I place macro media, which is terrestrial, Fox 31, whatever, I'll help you guys out. I'll rework that for you a little bit.
Okay.
You think we're gonna come in at 50?
It might be higher than that if we do this.
They'll discount 15%. And I don't take that. Now, in the agreement I have now, I would take some of that. We can revisit that. Because the branding is gonna be critical, but if we're having a party and we don't invite them, what's the point? Right? And so may I answer the question?
Yes, please do.
So I would love everybody's input, okay? Brian Mosley, who's helping Mary Jane and is helping at the Club Hotel, is just a masterful AdWords guy, okay? So we're gonna need budget for that. There's some techniques we use called conquesting, which are very stealthy, but we piggyback off other people's traffic. Social, Instagram, I see a budget there. I mean, Instagram is just amazing, I think. But never forget, if I put a spot on Channel 9 in the morning, that's gonna reach from Fort Collins all the way down to Monument.
If the message is right, that's gonna move the needle. And that's why the brand and the website are so critical, so that a new person that's up in Erie that just moved here, that has no idea what Idaho Springs is. When they see that message, they're gonna go where? To the website. And that's when we have to really give them the essence of what's in this community.
So to clarify, all this money in planning and potential hires is for the brand development and the website
Yes.
only?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well-
what's it?
Well, to clarify, so our part of the budget that was approved is 26.9, right? 269,000 and some change. In the strategic forward-facing marketing plan, you see it categorized out. So website marketing and development, we categorized 80,000 of that. So how we divide that 80,000 is up to you guys. So you can spend 39,000. You could spend 39,000 and then we would have less towards marketing.
So this money is brand package. So if we sign on the line right now, this is brand package, not marketing.
Yes,
Just
correct.
website. Okay.
This is just, these numbers that you guys are seeing right here are not marketing at all. This is literally just building us the foundation, building us what we need, brand and website.
Okay.
Is what we're deciding on now. And then whatever is left over of that is what will designate towards marketing dollars and the marketing plan that we will then bring before you. So that's also just so you guys understand, we make this decision, then Gregory and I will sit down and we will put together a complete 2025 marketing plan for you that will tell you this is where we spend money and why.
Yeah, well, and that's where Ross comes in too, because we're gonna need video assets and scripting. Now, we can do a lot of that now with AI. So I'm gonna help you guys out a little bit, right? My first year helping you out. We'll talk about my agreement with
Yeah.
you, because I was gonna get a little bit of commission. Because I have, I'll have 30% costs into my budget. That's okay. Because I believe in what we're doing here. I don't think the budget where we're at today is where it's gonna be 5 years from now. Okay? So I always like to have some skin in the game, right? You guys, I'll show you that I believe in you and I'll deliver, okay? We'll move those numbers. The key thing is I just really need every single dime I can because it's an expensive media market.
Yeah.
Right? And the website, again, I'll just reiterate, one thing we gotta be careful, I wanna be careful here, man.
Yeah.
We gotta make sure the navigation, the architecture is really solid. I mean, you guys think that through. Those tabs at the top, right? I don't know what those are gonna look like.
Yeah.
Galleries, dining, those are really important, and those drop downs.
Yeah.
Really, really important.
So there's two things that are gonna happen here right now, which would be really helpful. So we voted on the domain purchase, which is wonderful. That gets us in the step in the right direction. Second thing we need to vote on is how to proceed with this bid on who we would like to go with on brand development and strategy and website.
Can I interject on that?
Yeah,
Are you okay with that?
yeah, sure, go ahead.
I think Ember's your pick, would be mine.
Okay.
Just simply because he knows the community so well.
Yeah, and so then what we can do after that is I would like whoever, and I will open this up also to, people that aren't people that would want to participate in this process, that want to be a part of this. I'm gonna rely heavily on Guy and Andy and the mayor, Steve and Mary Jane, and whoever else would like to participate in this. It's kind of like a little committee that we're gonna be working offline, basically the rest of December, all of January and all of February to get this all done so that we can deliver and launch and have the website up and running by end of March, beginning part of April, so that we can fulfill the commitment that we made, that we can start pushing advertising for the shoulder season of spring. So I know that this is a tight ask. I appreciate you guys' effort making this going, but let's see what other questions we have. So those are just kind of the things. So we need to if there are questions on these quotes, let me know.
So I, like, looking at your recommendation, comes to a total of the 21,000. And it's kind of piecemealing it a little bit, like
It is.
splitting it up with Ember and then Ross and Kent doing some.
Yeah.
So for $2,000 more at $23,000, Ember would do all of it. And is there some value in having, like, what am I missing as like So we're not getting the same,
I think from my understanding with Nate, and I might need to make a little bit more clarifying questions, but reading the proposal in depth, it would be not as, he did clarify on the notes section that he did say it would be a full functioning website. However, it does seem like it would have a little less functionality. It would be kind of like a basic website, like pared down a little bit, and then we might have to pay more for additional design. So that 5,500 that's up there for web design, and web development, that would be kind of like the basic package. And then to add more features, to add more integrations, we would need to pay more for that.
so you're kind of recommending that Ember does like the branding part of it.
I am.
Logo, the colors,
Mhm.
and then you switch over to Ross and Kent to do the, like, kind of the practical work of it.
Yeah, that is kind of my recommendation.
Sadie, do any of those big packages, those don't include any like ongoing work and changing content and any of that kind of stuff, do they?
No, they don't.
Okay.
That does not include like website maintenance and management,
Okay.
any of that. This is just to get it up and running and going. It also doesn't include social media management or any of those will be bids that you guys will be getting coming forward.
Andy, would this have state requirements for kind of ADA access?
Yep.
That's gonna be covered as well?
And again, you know, we are actively, it's great to have Guy on board. We are actively looking at, you know, grants as well and other options that we're gonna be able to infuse this budget more, but kind of the first step we have is right now. So,
So technically, the $3,500 that we would pay to Ross and Kent would give us more than the $5,500 we would pay. Ember.
correct,
And then Ember would still art direct
correct.
going into the website, the development wouldn't be like he's just handing off the ball.
No, he would still be art directing, so he would still be looking at, you know, making sure that we're implementing it correctly, that it's looking the same, so he'd still be a part of the team in the process. It would be Kent doing the actual website design.
Is Ken gonna do the actual verbiage on the page though?
That would be me and Nate and
Well,
that
you're a great
team.
writer, so
Uh,
it's pretty good. It's a lot of pages.
Yeah, it's a lot of pages, but you know, it's worth it.
And I can volunteer on our website. Kent did all the back end, the development side, and Nate did all of our artwork and design and things of that sort. So they
And that would
worked
be.
together before.
Yeah, they've worked together before, so that is also helpful.
It's like Maker Sellersburg, neither,
Um,
but, right.
And that, you know, all that
Computers.
artwork is included, you know, in that Ember package, the brand strategy and the visual identity is all that artwork as well, so all of that art concept.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys, on these proposals? I just wanna keep us moving.
I mean, I'm good with your suggestions.
Tara? Jeannie, what do you think? Okay.
Steve,
I like your approach.
Okay, so I would need
I
a,
think the only piece of caution I have is what Lena brought up is that we don't try to take on too much ourselves, particularly with the initial setup.
Yeah.
And I think we might want to just give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room. This is the way we're gonna get started, but if we find that we're getting bogged down, we really need some help, maybe we bring on Ember to do a little bit more.
yeah, that's a,
Because
and
I
I'm
think
sure Nate
getting
would
it
be.
right to begin with is important, and then the ongoing maintenance will be another challenge that we need to be thinking about.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure Nate would be willing to participate from that level as well. As well as, you know, again, with us spending more on that 21,000, it does give us a little bit more wiggle room in that budget. So if we need to spend a little bit more to get extra support, we could have it there.
What about Brian?
Well, go ahead, sir.
Where's his expertise? Could he be Brian?
Well, we're not WordPress brands anymore. Most people still like to build in WordPress, but we build a lot of stuff now in Wix.
I think that's what
Yeah,
Kent is
Kent was
recommending.
good, yeah.
Is he gonna build in Wix?
His mock-up was Wix.
His mock-up was Wix,
You
yeah.
build in Wix, seriously, great. Then we can just carve a little bit out. Brian and I and my team, we're in this for the long haul, okay? So Brian can change out sliders, he's really good at SEO, he can do all of that stuff, as long as he has the content. The big thing for us is, you know, get ahead of it with our marketing calendar, so we know if it's St. Patrick's Day, and then if it's, you know, shoulder season promotions, whatever, let's get that artwork done. We'll meet with him once a week, right through data, and then just boom, it goes. And yeah, he can do all of that, especially, he's really good at WordPress. He doesn't like working in it, but Wix, easy, easy. So yeah, we can do that for you, right? Not a problem.
So I would need a vote, what's the best way to frame that vote? To proceed with my recommendation.
I think so.
Okay.
You laid it out, yep.
All right, cool. So I need a motion to proceed with my recommendation on branding and website development. Motion, Steve. Any second?
I'll second.
Lana, second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, passed. Wonderful. Okay, cool.
One last thing, if I could say,
Mhm.
so I have an extensive background in video production too. I don't know if it's any good. So one thing we'd want to do with Ross is we'd want to get the steering committee, for lack of a better word.
Yep.
Block shots, we call it. We just go out one day and we're doing the waterfall. We're going up to Virginia Canyon. We're just shooting a whole series of stuff we drop in Dropbox. And with AI today, we can build a lot of ads very quickly for social media. If we're gonna run them on more macro media, may want to engage, a little bit of professional help. Fox 31 did a pretty good job for you in a very short period of time.
They're good at.
So there's a lot of options we can do to, save money in these first couple of years. But so I will be with him when he's shooting. As long as we get feedback, we can go out and block 100 things. And then you've got all that B-roll. That's where you start to drive content, right? And the work I've seen Ross do is pretty impressive. So we've talked about that as well, Sadie.
Awesome. Okay, so the next thing is from those people either online or in the room, I know who has already told me that they'd like to be a part of the branding and website little mini committee. Steve, Mary Jane, Annie, Mayor, Guy. Anyone else?
I would.
Josh, like that. Anybody online, if you drop in the chat, if you want to be a part of the mini group? Kara's like, no more technology.
Sadie, I'd be happy to jump in on that.
I was
Gary
very,
would be
all
great.
right, perfect.
So if I can make one other suggestion then,
Mhm.
you okay with that?
Yep.
When we get that budget, if there's gonna be some macro media, and I think there is.
Yep.
Okay, what I'd like to do is call a cattle call, it's kind of an insensitive word, but I'm gonna request all the media come up here to meet with us, the reps, the sales managers. We'll do a tour of the Argo as a group, maybe show them remnant drawings of Minor Street, whatever you guys decide. Then we're gonna sit them down in a room. And then we're gonna put out what we call efficiencies. Okay, we're not gonna tell them what our budget is, but we're gonna make them battle for share. And then we're gonna request what you saw, Mary Jane, is 20% value added. And I think you would validate when we weren't getting quite the traction we needed. We kept getting more and more freebie stuff, okay? We're gonna make them work real hard. So I'll probably have the key radio groups come up. And of course, all the broadcast stations. Would this be an ideal room to do that in and have some lunch brought in, or we want to do it at Tommy Knockers or Bojo's, wherever?
My building's always available.
Your place would be great. So when do you think we would want to do that?
Probably we want to do that like March, I would think, wouldn't you think?
I want to get maybe just a tad ahead of it,
Okay,
just a little bit, because you want to be on maybe in the shoulder season. So here's what you always want to do with these
I mean, we
guys.
could do it in January.
Say late January, excuse me. So we can negotiate, because you want to negotiate on first quarter rates. When people are a little bit more hungry, they're coming off a massive political year. They're looking at their February and March inventory going, wow, we haven't sold much. It's all to help you guys. That's what we do, okay? And then whoever comes in with the best efficiencies, the best audience delivery, then the creative's getting done. We launch those ads. We start pointing them to the site. Then we can look at analytics on the back end once a month. Do you guys do this meeting every month?
We do.
We could do a quick marketing update under Sadie's direction. So there's a process and a formula that we do to try to help.
Awesome, thank you guys. All right, moving us on, guys. Next thing is event planning. Yay, event
Am I free to
planning.
go?
You are free to go now, thank you.
Nice to meet
I know
all.
you told me, he's like, I have
I'm
to
learning
leave.
this. I know Springs better than anybody.
Um,
Thank you. Sadie.
So my last thing is event planning. So we need to prioritize finalizing our event calendar for the 2025 year. I would love anybody who would like to participate in event planning for the year 2025. This is Steve's suggestion, is that we kind of, the major group does kind of the overall, and then we have like committees that are more event specific instead of having one committee that's in charge of all the events. So like, we would have a committee that's for spring event, we would have a committee for 4th of July event, and then we'd have a committee for the fall event, and then the micro events would be handled kind of by me and the board as a whole.
Like a full-time job, you took them all.
Exactly, so that's why I'm kind of, so there's a couple of things, we need to plan a date for the spring event. We need to plan a date for the fall event. So I would just like, in general, off of people that are here and want to participate, and I'll send this out in the follow-up email as well. Is there anybody that wants to kind of participate in the events thing and know that you're not gonna have to take on all of it? Lana, perfect. Tara.
For sure.
Yep,
And someone from Argo, definitely.
okay,
Me or somebody.
you or somebody, okay. And then Steve, okay, perfect. All right, anybody online?
The spring one, Jeff G.
Jeff, okay.
I would definitely be a part of it for sure.
Oh, there you are, Katie.
I'm here. I'm listening the whole time. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I just wanted to make sure I notated you were here. Cool. Okay, so Katie will participate as well. Awesome. Okay, wonderful. That gets me going on that. So that group expects an email from me soon, and we'll kind of start hammering out dates. And you want me to-
Guy would be the
Guy.
city point of contact.
Guy, you ready? We're gonna start events. His favorite part.
You like party planning. don't
He
you?
has done some epic events, so I'm really excited to bring up his knowledge into that. So I appreciate all of your guys' effort on that thickness. Last thing is the strategic forward-facing marketing plan, which you guys have all reviewed several times now. Basically, this is just gonna be guiding us in 2025 for our budget. It talks about the director's position rate, which pulls us to the first item of new business. I've said this, I'm maxing myself out about 25 hours to 30 hours right now. So coming into this branding, coming into all this stuff, I would probably need to be devoting full-time hours to this. My contract is officially up and switches to month at the end of this month. So it would kind of be up to your guys's discretion. If you want me to renew that contract at the full-time rate, I would then devote full-time hours.
Us or city council?
Nope, it would be this, well, the contract is with the city, but you guys would be making the decision to, the recommendation to put me up to full-time. I have worked it out with my businesses. I have an established staff that's doing really well. I will say for the month of February, I will be virtual, but I will devote the hours still in February. I just will be virtually devoting those hours instead of physically here, but I'll be here all of January, and then February I will be virtual, but I'll still devote
What
the
is
same.
this decision made? What are the details? It was, I don't know what you make now, what are you asking?
So what we budgeted, that $66,000 that we budgeted, for the director of business promotion would be at the full-time rate. I pulled that to the full-time rate, I think is what we did for that. Right now, I'm getting $3,800 a month. This would bump me up to that full-time rate. And I don't know what the monthly breakdown of that would be, but it would still be the same contract that I have. Yeah, same contract that I have now, versus it would just be full-time hours instead of part-time hours.
So I think it's the city's intent that we're committed with the approval of the budget for the entire year. So it wouldn't be month to month. I mean,
Yeah, I would sign a
I
year
see us-
contract.
I mean, it's up to this group to decide how you allocate your time and all of that, or you all work together on that. But as far as that commitment, I think that's good for next year.
Okay,
Yeah,
sweet.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so if you guys want me to, I will start devoting that full-time hours to it. I will say that we're gonna need my full-time, to Goldie, you're too cute for your own good.
Wanna leave.
I will say that we're gonna need my full-time hours for the marketing and the branding process, especially first quarter. So, if you guys want to do that, that just takes a vote from you guys to bump my hours from part-time to full-time.
And then moving forward beyond that, at some point, do we have to like post a position? Is there like requirements around that or? some kind of legal requirement to be an employee of the city?
I'm a
assuming you're-
contractor.
She's a contractor.
You're a contractor, but so
So we
you're
have
not thinking that we would ever put, or not right now, put this position as an employee position, but have it maintain a contractor status?
That's been the board's intent, just to maintain that independence, so that I'm more of an independent contractor versus an employee of the city. It kind of gives us that freedom.
Are you, is that viable? Knowing what the state of Colorado, like, is she an employee? Like, is she a contractor? Like,
Yes.
that gets kind of murky sometimes, and
And I
so,
don't think it is as long as she's got the freedom to set her own hours. I mean, obviously, set number of hours, but how she wants to work extra, a lot of hours one week, and, you know, we don't dictate her hours. That's one of the key
Right.
considerations, whether you're an employee or not.
As
So-
well as like that I have my own office and my
Right.
own space, and my office is at Majestic, so like I hit all of the key markers for an
You
independent
get to-
contractor.
Package, so you know-
You get a 1099. no
I get a
benefits.
1099, I don't get any
Oh,
city
yes.
benefits, yeah.
okay, I just wanted to make sure, I wasn't sure with the city, if it's some kind of municipality employment, if there were anything that was different from like private.
She's a contractor.
So,
Yeah, I fit pretty well into that contractor.
She's extremely competent and very talented.
It would be a year, you said?
Yeah, it would be a
That's
year,
a lot.
and then we would revisit probably around the same time we started doing budget review this year, so we would then revisit that for twenty
You
twenty-six.
probably start a little bit earlier,
Yeah, we would start a little bit
Maybe, August, September,
Yes.
we might want to start talking about.
Budget and
Yeah,
stuff,
Give us a
yeah.
little
more time.
Well, I already thought that was happening, so I'm motioning for that.
Okay, so
I can vote- I
motion
can vote
from
for that.
Tara, Steve, second, sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, awesome. The only other thing, is that we got the planning grant, update from, Andy, but the other thing is, you are going to be spending a decent amount of time working on our raise capital, the big part of the grant, right? That's due in January.
I think I am.
Cool, yeah, so we're gonna be that, Zoom user raised your hand, oh, that was Katie saying hi, thank you, Katie. So any updates that you wanna share with the group on that?
No, we're having weekly meetings with HDR and they're doing the cost benefit analysis. That took the longest lead time, so they've started on that. And, we'll be having weekly meetings till we get it done. So, and we're divvying up various aspects of the grant application, so.
Awesome, and I think Chip, you're on, did you wanna say something, Chip?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I saw an email from Mary Jane a couple of days ago about that we had gotten some numbers as far as the traffic on the highway and stuff. And I got into the meeting a little late. Zoom changed things up and it took me a while to get in. I don't know if you'd already discussed it, but I was real interested in that, especially the numbers through the tunnels.
Yeah, so we have received a report and, it says what we think it says, which is that I-70 traffic is down 30%. We are asking for some clarification on if there's been errors in those reporting numbers or if they've experienced some kind of technical difficulties, because the 30% decrease in I-70 traffic does seem significantly higher even than what we were expecting, but we are seeing a decrease in I-70 traffic numbers. And that is the lowest since 2017. So we're waiting for some clarification. You guys will see that from me. I'll be including that in my summary report talking about that. But yes, Chip, that is a 30% decrease.
Okay, but that was part of it, that there could be a problem with it, and I didn't quite understand it, so thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, we're waiting for some more additional clarification on that. We should get an updated report. And you did maybe miss at the beginning, we did receive our Placer AI report for Thanksgiving weekend, and we were up 149% in the downtown district over last year for the Thanksgiving weekend. So we are seeing an increase in traffic.
Did that figure out the difference in weeks?
I don't know if it figures the difference in weeks.
Because Thanksgiving was a week earlier last year than it was this year, I think.
So I did it off the dates. So last year it was November 24th through 26th. This year I ran the report for, let me make sure I'm telling you correctly and I didn't misspeak, but I'm 99% sure that I ran it for the correct dates, which I did, November 28th through December 1st. So I did run them for the correct timeline.
So, but the comparison was the week before against this week. Okay, great.
The comparison was Thanksgiving to Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So that was direct across the board there. One thing I did forget is that we need to set a date for the first quarter community conversations meeting that we committed to having. Andy and I feel like it would be best suited the first part of March. Do you guys feel good about the first part of March for the community conversations meeting? It would be on a Thursday again. We'd like to host one on the East End and one in the downtown district. So it would be about finding a location. So I would reach out to the downtown district, ask for a location. Key things are capacity, obviously. We hit Tommyknockers capacity at that meeting. So it might be worth maybe talking to Club about using the annex. It's probably one of the larger capacity downtown venues. East End wise, Katie, I don't think we have anything on the East End that would be suited for the same amount of people except for you.
Yeah, no, I think we hit max capacity too. We were standing room only on the East End meeting, but we can totally hold it there again, no problem. So
I just don't think we have another spot on the East End that
don't have
works.
much of a choice. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Given that it had been a while, that we got more folks coming, and that if we hold them regularly, we'll get petering off of that, or
That'll happen eventually,
like
sure.
everyone will just, like, should we expect this? I guess you don't really know.
We don't really know. I think it will show us having it at this first quarter. I was thinking,
I think it also depends what's going on. Like maybe it might slow down for a minute, but then when things actually start changing down in the downtown area, then all of a sudden people will start coming again. Like it'll probably ebb and flow.
yeah, it might ebb and flow based.
I'd like to schedule it like once basically the website's ready to go or is up, if we can do it that way, and then the information with the grant is like really ready, because a lot of people were excited and they were there, but it was, a lot of people were like, oh, this stuff I already knew. So make sure that we're like coming out with, like, we're doing things, you know?
So if
so
we
that
push that
it
back a
feels
little bit
relevant.
later in March, which does put us into that spring break traffic part, but if we did like the 13th and the 20th of March.
On the 13th, Clear Creek County Tourism is doing.
Okay, so that would be, maybe we do like the 6th and the 20th, and the 6th could be the East End one, the 20th could be the downtown one. I would say definitely by the 20th, we would have, by the 6th, we'll definitely have mock stuff we can show them, whether it's live or not, I cannot guarantee that, but by the 20th one, we definitely would have even more in-depth things. I
Oh,
hope.
the survey, that's what I meant to, the survey.
The survey's gonna go out.
Yeah, but when is spring break too? We got to consider spring break during March.
Spring break starts around the 17th of March and usually runs to like that 28th, dependent on, different states are different, but Colorado.
Let's look at Clear Creek.
Yeah,
Schools
when is
spring
Clear
break,
Creek
'cause that's
schools?
gonna affect anybody in town more than.
Right. That's what I
I
meant.
don't-
20th. I think it's
I'll-
the week
I'll
of
look
the
that up.
20th.
It
Chris-
looks like it's March 17 and 20.
Okay, so Clear Creek School District is 17 through 20, so maybe we do the first Thursday and the last Thursday. So we could do the
Double
6th.
check with Cass about the 13th, because that was the date that she had, but as to whether or not she's secured a location and.
Cass, is she still on? Cass, are you still on? If you are, we can ask her directly. She was on for a while. So we could potentially do the first and we could do the first and the last. We could do the 6th and the 27th, or we could do, even though we're trying to commit to doing, first quarter and then third quarter, we could do the 27th and the 3rd of April as well, if we want to push it more towards the end of the month. We could do the 27th and the 3rd. I'm not seeing Cass on here, so we won't lost her, but we can clarify.
Yeah.
Do we want to push setting that date till we get some clarification from tourism and we can decide via email on that date? Andy, is that okay?
So I was just looking at
We
the calendar.
we can decide via email on the date within the board. We don't have. to.
Yeah, no, it's great to have some some idea now.
Some options.
Everybody
So
gets-
she did text me.
Everybody
and
gets
said that she's on mobile, and yes, we were supposed to be in Georgetown on the 13th,
Okay,
so.
so it would be beneficial not to compete with that. So maybe we do, how does everybody feel about doing it later? What if we do the 27th and the 3rd?
Of April.
So it'd be the 27th of March and the 3rd of April.
I'm fine with that if people are opposed. I'm fine with like a little bit more time between, so like it also kind of gets people wanting to come, you know, be like, oh, there's something.
Some more
new and
information.
More time, or does anyone think that having it sooner and more consistent is better?
Yeah, I mean, we could push it all the way into April and do the 3rd and the 10th.
I'd like to sort of like set it up with deadlines in a way, so like, okay.
By then, we are gonna have all this
Yeah,
stuff done.
Yeah.
I know
exactly.
for sure by the first part of April, we'll have the website like live and running. We'll also have the full media marketing plan that we'll be able to present with buy-ins for businesses. So that would be a good time to present that information as well for people that can't make these.
Is that okay?
I think the planning grant or the planning design for the raise would be, obviously, the more time you give it, the more design will be ready.
To show. So I like that, maybe pushing it into April. Everybody's cool with that. So maybe the 3rd and the 10th. Andy, do we have any major conflicts?
Third and the 10th.
Yeah.
I will be not here on the 3rd. That's a factor. If you do the 10th, 17th,
We could do the 10th and 17th.
the 24th is not good, so we're kind of,
So the 10th and 17th then?
I think that looks good on my calendar.
Katie, would the 10th be okay for you at Yards?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, everybody, that is where we're at. We pushed it to the limit as we always do. I appreciate those for sticking with me till the very end. I'm going to go ahead and, next meeting is on a Tuesday because it is a holiday on a Monday, so it'll be Tuesday, January 21st at 2 p.m. And I'm going to adjourn us officially at 3:40 p.m. I appreciate all of your guys' hard work. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, stop share, and then I just hit end.
I mean, it was like